Vedi e se non volete, attacchiamo suonatori.
G'day everyone, welcome to another episode of War-Torn Cooking at Cucina Indrapilli. I hope you can hear me alright. I thought I'd add a bit of spice to the mix today. What are we making? So first of all, I just wanted to say thanks, and how good has this been the last day or so after I posted that video yesterday. I've had a lot of feedback, questions, people being inspired to cook things and sharing their recipes and ideas. So that's exactly what this is all about, you know. It's Armageddon, it's lockdown, it's war-torn times. So today I thought I'd share with you something that's really quite critical to what I do when I cook, and it's a proper Italian red sauce. I'll just turn that down a bit more, hang on. I thought we might put some background noise, because again, I'm trying to take on the feedback of the people. Now, what's this all about? So this is Calabria Brothers. This is a vineyard. I told my sister I was going to do this Italian sauce today. She told me about these guys who apparently they've had to shut down because they had a massive outbreak of COVID-19, which sucks because they're a vineyard in the Barossa, and we were there late last year with some friends after we went to a wedding in the area. You know who you are. And so I bought that. I was going to use it today in this sauce anyway, and I thought I'd just mention that because obviously everyone's being affected by this random state of play that we're in. Now, why do I want to do this sauce for you today? Oh yeah, so my grandmother, who I referred to yesterday, my Italian grandmother, so we'll call her Nonna because that's what we called her. She's no longer with us, but today would have been her 99th birthday, which is quite cool. To be honest, we're not sure whether it was today or yesterday, because it turns out record keeping in 1921 wasn't probably as accurate as it is today. So we always had a bit of a, we weren't very sure when her birthday was, but we always knew it was kind of the end of March-ish. So we, as I say, it was either 28th or 29th of March. And then years and years later, we were talking and she said to us, oh yeah, I was actually born on Good Friday. So being like the curious little kid that I was, I dug up the almanac, flicked back to 1921 and learned that Good Friday was actually on the 1st of April. And we said to her, Nonna, look, we know when your birthday is, it's the 1st of April. And her face changed. She was like not interested for 1 minute on being born on April Fool's Day. So we went back to celebrating on the 28th or the 29th of March. So it's a bit loose, who cares? She was from Calabria. This is the Calabrian tarantella, which is a dance that she used to do around the kitchen, which was another good memory from when I think back to being little and learning how to cook. So as I say, today is all about the Italian red sauce. Also, someone wanted me to do a recipe using chicken, so that's what I'm going to do here. So let's kick off. I'm trying to get a bit more like camera friendly angle, so just bear with me. But I've already grated a carrot here. The reason I did it before I started was because it's a bit noisy, and I figured it's already hard enough to hear because of the extremely professional setup that I've got in my kitchen/studio. Another question I had was, why am I using a butter knife? I'm actually not using a butter knife. This is a Victorinox knife, and Victorinox is the same company that do Swiss Army knives, so they're real sharp knives. I've got them like one in every colour. I only get certain colours to know how new they are, so this one's newer and it's real sharp. So these can like cut through just about bone when they're brand new, so be real careful if you do use them. You get them from like King of Knives for about $8. That's the only knife I use. Like, I'm sure there's other options you could do, but works for me. So what are we doing? Oh, a couple of good news stories. I've already washed the dishes. How good. So I probably won't be doing too much of that meantime, but you just never know what this video is going to unfold. We got the carrot. We're also going to use onion and garlic, same as yesterday. So there's a few principles that you'll learn as we go, which are similar to, which you'll use over and over again. So you want to tuck and tail your onions here, just so the end bits aren't all gross and chewy in your food once you actually cook it. Same with the garlic as well. That's why you cut the ends off, because otherwise it's all like gross and chewy and just foul. It's like a seed almost. So we're going to use 2 onions here in this war-torn time. So what was I going to say? So this particular sauce, like typically you'll find this being cooked in like heaps and heaps of Italian people's houses on like a Sunday. So because I don't have a family or like a lot of people I'm always cooking for, I usually make it like probably once a month and just put it in the freezer because it keeps. And you know, then you can use it for any sort of pasta you want. Like you can just boil your pasta like you would and put this with it to eat it as a dish. You could use it if you were going to make a lasagna. You could use it, I love to use it like tomorrow morning. I'm sure I'll put some in a pan and like crack a couple of eggs into it, like a fry pan, crack some eggs, put the lid on, and the eggs will just like poach in the sauce and you have that on toast. It's like next level. So another time when I'm going to show you my absolute favorite dish that I ever cook, which is stuffed eggplants, that this is the sauce that I'll use, but maybe not this exact batch because who knows when that'll happen. But this sauce is versatile, and as I say, it's going to be something you'll put in your freezer. And I always like to have some in there because, you know, if you get home late after work, which, you know, when we're working again, or when we're not locked down, I should say, and you can't be bothered cooking, then you can just grab it out of the freezer, put some pasta on, and you're done. Cool, so there's the onions done. Garlic, so that's 2 onions. Garlic, how do I peel garlic was another question. So I literally just grab a clove, do that to it, lean on it, and it goes a bit all shattered, and then just peel it like that, put that away, cut the ends off because they're the bits that are yuck, or just mainly the top end, like the end that was connected to the rest of them, that little bit there, and then just chop it up. Doesn't have to be too small, mainly because we're making a massive amount of sauce here. So yeah, so I'll just do that. The onions today have made me cry, and someone also asked me how do you do it so they don't make you cry, because they didn't make me cry yesterday. I don't really have any rhyme or reason, to be honest. It's just dependent on how quick you cut them and how many you're cutting. So don't have an answer for you there, sorry. Okay. What else? What else is going on? I'm just thinking as I go. Do you like the music? Can you hear it? I hope you can. I'll turn up a little bit. I thought it'd be fitting. 99 years since the woman who inspired me to cook joined the earth. It's been about, how old am I? She passed away when I was 21, so that long ago since she died. Oh, and ironic, so you know I told you she was born on Good Friday. She passed away on Easter Sunday, which is kind of fitting. Italian, Catholic, proper, like what everyone would imagine your Nonna to be if you haven't got a Nonna, or if you do. So we've nearly chopped the garlic and the onion. So it was 6 cloves of garlic, 2 onions. I've chopped up I've grated a carrot. I'd also, if I feel like it, I might chuck in some celery, but I haven't worried about that today. And then, as I said, I'm going to use chicken. So we've got here some chicken thighs, just literally regular stuff you'd buy from Woolies, nothing special. You can use whatever you want. You could use chicken drumsticks like on the bone. Like on the bone's really good because obviously the flavour's a little bit different when it's cooking with the bone in there, but then you've got to like fish through later on when it cools down to take all the bones out, which can be a bit of a pain in the bum. You could also use like lamb. I love cooking with lamb, and if you don't like lamb, this sauce is still not going to be like super lamby, because you know it just kind of adds a base flavour to the actual sauce. We'll do it one day with meatballs as well, because that's next level. Also you could use, what else? Anything, beef. Again, bone is always good, but I've got boneless thighs here. Thighs are probably better than breasts because they've got more fat in them. and the fat obviously makes the flavors a little bit more primo. So let's go. I'll see whether I can't. I've got a pot there. As I said, it's already washed. Quick learner over here, quick learner. So I'm going to put on the stove. I'll take this off. This is a huge pot. It's like 16 litres. So we'll probably end up doing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 or 8 litres of actual sauce. It'll cook down a bit because the longer it cooks, the more it will reduce. But anyway, I'm going to use this olive oil. Again, Woolies, no stress. Bit more than yesterday. Still can't tell you how much because I don't know. But I'll tell you, I'll bring you over the camera. I won't put you through the hell of, you know, watching my face, so I'll pause, hang on. So I've put that much oil in, just like covered the bottom of it. As I said, this is like a massive, oh, that's my hand. That's a huge, big pot. So cover it up with about that much oil. You'll use it again a bit more later, so don't put it away yet. So once your oil's a bit warm, you're gonna add in your garlic and onion and carrot, and then you're going to let it sort of sizzle a little bit. So let me just do that. So again, full bore. I'm going to use a wooden spoon because it's long enough to get to the bottom without having to go up to your wrist in, you know, sauce once it's full. Again, normal salt. We're going to chuck in like, I don't know, enough to cover the bottom. Like not fully cover it, but again, don't be stingy. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing from there because I've changed up the angles a little bit. And I'm also going to put in, again, favourite herb, oregano. Oh, I meant to get some fresh basil to put in as well, so I might do that later, but for now we'll just use this. Same story, like that much, twice. So there you go, that's how it looks. We've got garlic, onion, oil, salt, oregano, carrot today. I've got to stir it just a sec. Don't want it to burn. As I said yesterday, burning at this stage of the game is horrible. Like it's completely going to wreck the whole thing if you burn it. That's better. Cool. So yeah, I'm fully on number 9, full blown heat at the minute, just until it gets to a point where you can turn it down a little bit because you kind of want this to kind of, in a moment, I'm going to add some wine and it's going to sort of deglaze the bottom of the pan, so take all of the deliciousness from the bottom of the pan and get swept up in the wine. So that's where we're up to now. Oh yeah, this one here, Leggo's tomato paste. We're going to put some of that in for the same thing, so we're going to put about that much. And then we're going to just stir that around and let that kind of start to bubble. Again, we're still on full heat because we want it to like really sizzle when we add in the wine in a minute. And then we'll turn it down after that. Still just getting there. See, watch. I hope I don't drop this thing, my God, can you imagine? See how it's starting to kind of get a bit sticky? That's perfect. So we'll let it continue to do that, again, without it burning. And I'm going to add the chicken. So like I said, just normal chicken from Woolies, no stress. We'll chuck that in. Alright, so the chicken's in there. We're going to let it sort of brown off a little bit. And then when it starts to get brown, we'll flip it around just so it gets brown everywhere, and then we'll add the wine. Right, so the chicken's in. It's browning off a little bit. We're going to add some of this vino in a sec, because if it's good enough to drink, it's good enough to cook with. And then we'll add in the passata, which is the Italian sauce. Oh, sorry, it's just like the cooking sauce. So normally, right, in a world before it went mad, I would just use this, no problem. It's passata, it's Italian cooking sauce. You can use it for lots of things. I only use it for this. Now, I normally would get about 6 of them to make a batch of this, but for some reason or other, can't work out why. There's all sorts of random stuff going on in shops, right? So I had to get one of these, which is fine. I had to get one of these, which is also fine. But then, get this blew my mind. I had no idea this even existed. Fucking passata in a box. It's the wrong way around. I had no idea this existed because, like, literally, there's just not enough of anything on the shelves because people are going mad for this war-torn Armageddon. So I'm going to use this for the first time today. I've got no idea what it's going to turn out like. But I'm not going to just use this. I'm going to use all of these combined because, like, what's there to lose? Let me just check the sauce, hang on. Now, it went a little bit black, like, because it was almost burning, but you can, like, give it a good scrape, and then it's still gonna be fine, because it hasn't burnt yet. So you probably can't see it now, because I already moved it, but, like, see how this bottom bit here, it's starting to look like it's burning, but it's not actually burnt yet. So this is exactly when you want it. Keep it moving, and then in a sec, we're gonna add the wine, and then that's gonna, like, give it a bit of a kick. Right, I've just opened the wine. Like I said, Calabri Brothers, they've had to close down for the time being, poor guys. I'll show you, this is what's going to happen. So see, you can hear it. Yeah, we need more. So that was probably like, I don't know, you saw it, however much that would normally be. So now I'm going to put all the bits down into the wine, put the lid on and let that do its thing for a little bit till the chicken's almost cooked. But it won't matter if it's not fully cooked because it's going to cook for ages once we add the tomato. Alright, lid on. So now, I don't know, that'll probably cook for about maybe 4 or 5 minutes, thereabouts. And then we'll add all this tomato, and then once that's full we're going to season it again. And basically put the lid on and leave it for ages. So this is the sort of thing, like I say, this is not like an everyday type of dish. You want to make sure you've got your sauce in the freezer, ready to go. So you can just pull it down, use it whenever, because it takes ages. It's a bit of a commitment, this one. That's why I usually, when I'm doing those eggplants I'm going to show you another time, I'll always have the sauce ready, because it's like already a pretty hectic kind of process without having to make the sauce and do the eggplants all in one day. That's like a full day's work, which who can be bothered on a Sunday to spend it all in the kitchen. What else? So, what else were there people asking me questions about? Can't remember. I have to have a think. I've got a little notebook actually, so I'm making notes as people ask questions, and I'm trying to, like, you know, refer back to that as often as I can. I probably could have just left it on then, because I've only just turned around. But you can really smell, I took the lid off and it smells so good. Like, it's fully smells like wine in here. Yeah, and if you're worrying, thinking, oh my God, raw chicken, this and that, like I said, this is going to cook for like 4 hours. So the chicken is 100% going to be cooked by the end of it. So don't stress if you like put the tomato in too early or whatever. It's just probably, it's not cooking it now in the wine, other than getting the flavour kind of in the chicken from the wine. Because once the tomato goes in, it obviously all sort of stirs in together and it's not as concentrate. So you want to get as much flavour like packed into the chicken with what's in that pan when there's only a little bit in there. Before you start to flavour the tomatoes, because that's essentially what's going to happen once you add in the tomato passata. It's real thick, this sauce, right? So when you empty it in, you're then going to basically fill it probably half back up with water, give it a stir around, and then use that as well, because you might be using 5 or 6 bottles, but you probably get 2 bottles worth of like watered down version once you add the water in, to make sure you're getting all of the tomato out of the jar. I'll show you what I mean in a sec. So yeah, open up these bottles like this. What have I got here? 4, 5, rustic, thick and chunky. Never used it before, I'm sure it'll be good. Give it a go. Oh, I also like to put maybe 2 or 3 cans in as well, just because you get a little bit more chunkiness that way. And I think it's good to kind of, I don't know, just use a different variety. I remember when I was little, my Nonna said to me, she's like, you got to use a can of tomatoes as well as the passata, because it makes it more red. And I was like, I don't know what she's talking about, because it's pretty red. But when I actually started making it myself, I sort of knew what she meant. Like, I can't explain it. It just, I don't know, it does something, and that's what she said, so that's what I do, and it works. So we'll open these up like this. Maybe she meant it was thicker, I don't know, but it was gold, I can still remember it. It goes more red, and I'm thinking, yeah, okay, how much more red can this get? But that's all right, that's what she said, and she knew what she was doing. All right, so I've committed now. We've got 3 cans. This one here, maybe, not sure. 3 cans, 5 bottles, and then we'll have more once we add the water. So let's go. Ah, perfect. Yeah, all right. Let me show you. Hang on. Right, see how it's like heaps thick and bubbling, and like you'll notice the wine doesn't really have the texture of wine anymore. It's more like, yeah, saucy, like what you'd expect, almost like a thin gravy. And that's just because it's been cooking in here with this stuff. Sorry, there's a bit of steam cracking on here. Yeah, so see how that is now. As I said, the chicken's like definitely raw on the inside, but it looks like it's all touched the pan on the outside, so at least it's kind of the outside of it's cooked. I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to add in the tomatoes. So give us a sec. Literally just in like this. As you can see, there's like bulk tomato left in there, so we're going to put water to get that out in a minute. I'll show you my perch. You'll laugh. Sorry, that was probably too quick. I got my little upper books here to like prop us up on a giant beer glass. So let me just do that one sec. So yeah, very technical setup here. It's unbelievably professional. It's like cooking 101 studio atmosphere, lights, camera, action. Right, so the sauce is in. This is what I mean when I'm talking about the water. So I've filled that up to like there. I'm gonna put the lid on. I'm gonna have to choose which lid carefully because they're all different. Give it a shake. So now you've got that much sauce in there. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna fill this water now into this jar and do the same thing. Because it's war torn, right? Waste not, want not. And also, sorry, my phone rang. So yeah, also it adds a good layer to the sauce, like a different kind of, just the different consistencies is I think maybe what Nonna meant when she said it makes it more red, because like this consistency of the tomatoes is different from the passata. Each of the passatas are going to be a little bit different. You know, the rustic ones are the thick and chunky, the smooth ones are the smooth ones. This bloody essentials thing from Woolies, I can't even be sure what's going on there, so I'll tell you about that next time. Right, so now I'm shaking. This is the third bottle. See how the top of this bottle is now not clear, where this one was pretty clear when we first did it. I'm going to now pour this into the sauce and start this process again, because you want to make sure that the bottles are clear, otherwise you're not actually getting all the stuff out. So yeah, Armageddon is going to be fine if you've got yourself prepared. Bunch of stuff in the freezer, locked down. I know lockdown means we can still go to shops, but like let's make it as interesting as possible. Try new things, try new recipes, do stuff you would normally do. Right, the 3 are in. Oopsie, swish, swish, swish with the water into the next one. Swish, swish, swish with the water into the pot. Beauty, right, cool. So, that was, recap midway through. 6 cloves of garlic, 2 brown onions, 1 carrot grated. The garlic and the onions just chopped, not too small, just whatever you feel like. Use your nice knife if you want. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so then we put it in, salt, oil, oregano, let them brown off a bit, like let them go see-through a little bit. As soon as it starts to feel like, oh my God, it's going to burn, that's when you want to make sure you chuck your wine in. But also, sorry, you got to put your chicken in before your wine. Brown off your chicken, that's when it's all going to be stirred up together. It might look like it's going to burn, as I said. All right, perfect time, chuck in your wine. I've used that, a red wine. What is it actually? I told you the brand because I felt bad for those poor bastards getting shut down. This is Old Vine Shiraz, Barossa Valley. Oh yeah, these ones here, that's why we bought these, because these are like some of the oldest vines in the whole of the Barossa. They're like 70-year-old or more vineyards, so I thought that was quite cool. Plus, of course, it's called Calabria Brothers, and that's where my mum's from, and my Nonna. This is the whole theme of the day, hence all of this unreal Italian music that I found on Spotify. So yeah, maybe they're still booking online, taking orders online, but I don't know because I haven't spoken to any of them. Also, that's right, we put in some paste when we were sort of starting the whole pan off. I've just leaned in tomato. Yeah, see, no matter how organised you think you can get, there's always going to be a bit of a carry-on. At least there is in my kitchen. My brother's exactly the same, he cooks as well. His girlfriend's been telling me, make sure we do like a collab. And I'm like, what's a collab? And she's like, a collaborative episode. And I'm like, oh, okay, we might do that another time because that would be fun. Him and me in the kitchen together when we're not in Armageddon anymore would be hilarious. It would be an insight into Christmas at our place because it's just like energy flying around, like people yelling and throwing things, but everyone's actually calm. It's the weirdest thing, but the best at the same time. All right, actual cooking, let's think about that. What are we up to? I'm gonna stir this sauce because you don't want it to get stuck even though you've now got all of this liquid in it. So give it a stir. Hang on, I'll show you again because you can start to see like the actual, what's the word? The wine sort of coming to the top a little bit. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So see how the edges here, you can see like different colour. That's because the wine, I've sort of stirred it through a bit, so I probably could have showed you a second ago. No, here, perfect. See, that there was kind of all through here. That means, right, you've actually got the bottom of the pan and you're mixing it through the whole tomato mass. Because if you don't mix it, it'll end up just burning anyway, and then you'll have raw tomatoes on top and like burnt disgusting shit on the bottom, which will just be foul. So make sure you mix it, and you can actually feel it. Like if you can feel the bottom of the pan and it's smooth, like there's no little bumpy bits that you're going over, then it means you've cleaned the bottom of the pan properly. If it starts to stick, when you stir it, you'll go, oh shit, I can feel that onion there. So you've got to give it a bit of a bit of elbow grease to make sure it doesn't do that. And now we're gonna season again, because there's obviously heaps and heaps in here. So hang on, where are we up to? Must be about there, I reckon. So it's about half full, just under half full. Yeah, we probably could put, yeah, I'm gonna put that extra passata thing in. Just a sec. Right, so I decided we're gonna need to use this because there's not enough liquid in there as far as I'm concerned. And the reason being is, as it cooks, like I said, this is gonna cook minimum 2 hours, if not 4. Like I'll tell you once I actually do it, what it ends up being. But it depends on the sort of how fast it'll cook, the size of the pan. I've actually never cooked sauce in this pan before. It's a new pan. I usually cook with one a bit smaller, but that one almost fills up, which is just a bit hard to manage when it's first starting to cook. So that's why I got this one, which is ginormous. So that's why I'm not really sure how long it's going to take. The longer you cook it, obviously, the more it cooks down. So even if it's 2, it'll probably somewhere in the middle, 3 hours maybe it'll end up being, I reckon, just guessing. But even if it's just 2, it's still going to reduce by probably like that much on the side of the pan, like about 1 inch of it will drop down. So that's why if it's kind of at the level now that you think, oh, that's a good amount of sauce, you're going to lose a bit of it because of the cooking process. So that's why I've decided we're going to do this. I'm going to use 2 of these because these are half a litre each. And then I was already opening it up, but then I thought I'll show you, because you know I told you these knives are unreal. So this is just that Victorinox knife. This is an old one, so it's not very sharp. I wouldn't probably use it with a super sharp one in case you cut yourself. But this is how effective they are. They're just the best. Done. So same story, I'm going to pour this in, both of them, and then I'm going to add water, swish it around, and then add that. So I'll do that now. Oh, it's nice and thick actually. Oh, good. Oh, I'm happy with that. Very nice. Yeah, better. So now there's probably just over half of that pot full of sauce, which is perfect because we know, like I said, it's going to cook down a fair bit. So if it drops down to the level we just saw it at, which was sort of just under half, that'll be about right. Because also we've got 6 chicken thighs in there. So obviously, you know, the more kind of, what am I trying to say? You know, if you the more relative the amount of meat versus the amount of sauce, the difference the flavour is going to be. So if you only had like 1 chicken thing in there, you wouldn't want to do as much sauce. However, having said that, you don't have to use meat at all. You could just do like a Neapolitan sauce, which would just be onion, garlic, and like no meat. I'm guessing. I've never really done it with no meat before. When I do no meat with pasta, it's normally like an oil-based sauce with veggies, which is a story for another day. What am I doing? Oh yeah, we're going to season again. The same amount of oregano again, like those 2 pinches, like I said, like that much there, twice. We'll do that now. Just on the top's fine. I'll show you in a minute once I do it all. We've got the sacks of salt as well. This is the Himalayan one. Again, we're just going to pour it so it's all over the top. Yep. You're probably best off just to time me how long I'm pouring for. That's how much you want to use. And then I'm going to put more oil in as well. And then I'll show you. Alright. Oops, sorry about that. A bit noisy. What are you going to do? Hang on. Alright, so there's the top of the sauce now that I've salted, oiled and oreganoed. Now a second ago that was all full of oregano, but see how the sauce is bubbling up slowly from the bottom? So it just means the temperature's good. It's starting to not boil, but it will boil soon enough. So I'm going to stir that around so you can't see the seasoning again. Now don't taste it at this point because that chicken is still definitely raw. So you definitely don't want to taste it until at least like probably 1 hour after it's been fully boiling. So not an hour from now, an hour from when it boils, because that's when I'd be comfortable enough to know that the chicken's not raw, because obviously you don't want to taste anything if it's still raw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, the actual temperature is still on 9, so that's full. So you've got to be real careful when you're originally doing like the deglazing of the pan, like not to catch or burn it because it'll go fucked. So if you're not very good with temperatures, you want to like turn it down a wee bit. But now I'm going to still, if you have turned it down beforehand then, if that's the case, turn it back up now and put the lid on. So we're going to let that sit there for a bit until it boils, but you're going to make sure you come back and check it maybe every 5 minutes just to make sure the bottom hasn't stuck. Hang on, let me turn this back around. Yeah, so I was saying the lid's on, it's on 9, we're waiting for it to boil, but you want to make sure you go in and actually check that it's not sticking. So give it a stir in a couple of minutes just to make sure, and then when it's full blown boiling, it'll start making real like bubbles because it's so thick. And then when it's boiling, after that, I'll tell you what to do. So give us a sec, we'll be back in a minute. Here we are again.